Welcome back, boys and girls. This is your fourth video, and this is your last video for today, Tuesday. So this is your read aloud. Are you ready to listen to a story today? Boys and girls, what are we talking about this week again? We are talking about bugs. And guess what? Today's story is about another kind of bug. What could it be? Let me share my screen with you now. Ready? Okay, I'm about to show you my screen. Here it is. This is today's story, and a lot of the pre-K kids in the county will be reading the story. So everybody get ready with your listening body, not just your ears listening to Mrs. Mendoza, but your eyes watching me, or most importantly, look at the book and your body is listening to. Not moving a lot. We have to pay attention to the story so we can remember a lot of details from the story. Here it goes. The Song of the Teeny Tiny Mosquito by Alma Flor Ada. The Song of the Teeny Tiny Mosquito by Alma Flor Ada, illustrated by Vivi Eseriva. At the crack of dawn, perched on a log, a mosquito came into view of a frog. The frog, with a howdy hey hoo, opened his mouth and took a quick gulp. Bye-bye, teeny tiny mosquito. Uh-oh, look at that mosquito being eaten by the frog. Frogs love mosquitoes. Not thinking for a minute he'd done anything wrong, the frog patted his stomach and burst into song. But his pogmates shouted not a single bravissimo, for instead of deep bass notes, they heard other sounds, the buzzes and squeaks of a teeny tiny mosquito. By mid-morning, the frog had only one wish, not to be eaten by a hungry fish. This was the frog, as I'm sure you know, who at the crack of dawn had gulped down a teeny tiny mosquito. Not thinking for a minute she'd done anything wrong, the fish raised her fin and burst into song. But her seafaring friends shouted not a single bravissimo, for instead of high fish notes, they heard other sounds, the buzzes, the squeaks of a teeny tiny mosquito. So this time it was the fish who ate the frog, and when the fish opened its mouth, not a fish sound was heard. Instead, it was the sound made by the teeny tiny mosquito. With the clock chiming noon, the fish had had luck. She landed kerplunk in the jaws of a duck. This was the fish, as I'm sure you know, who at mid-morning had eaten the frog, who at the crack of dawn had gulped down a teeny tiny mosquito. Not thinking for a minute he'd done anything wrong, the duck opened his bill and burst into song. But his feathered friends shouted not a single bravissimo, for instead of loud quack quacks, they heard other sounds, the buzzes, the squeaks of a teeny tiny mosquito. So just like what happened to the frog and the fish, this duck won't make the quack quack sound, but the other ducks or the other feathered friends heard the sound of the teeny tiny mosquito. That mosquito is a very tiny bug, right? When dusk came, the duck's life had a change in style. how different things look in a crocodile. This was the duck, as I'm sure you know, who at noon had eaten the fish, who at mid-morning had eaten the frog, who at the crack of dawn had gulped down a teeny tiny mosquito. So what do you think will happen next? Talk about it. Let's see if your guess is right. Not thinking for a minute she'd done anything wrong, the croc raised her snout and burst into song. But her thick-skinned friends shouted not a single bravissimo, for instead of low croc notes, they heard other sounds, the buzzes and squeaks of a teeny tiny mosquito. Good job. Everything shone brightly by the light of the moon as it hung in the sky above the lagoon. With a pain in her belly, the croc was soon struck, so badly, in fact, she coughed up a duck. This was the duck, as I'm sure you know, who at noon had eaten the fish, who at mid-morning had eaten the frog, who at the crack of dawn had gulped down a teeny tiny mosquito. So the crocodile, coughed out the duck. The stars came out before anyone spoke. In a short while, the duck awoke. His stomach ached and he was feverish. So she had fever. To the surprise of his friends, he coughed up a fish. This was the fish, as I'm sure you know, who at mid-morning had eaten the frog, who at the crack of dawn had gulped down a teeny tiny mosquito. Oh, at that starry night, without a trace of fog, the fish squirmed in pain and coughed up a frog. This was the frog, as I'm sure you know, who ate the crack of dawn, who at the crack of dawn had gulped down a teeny tiny mosquito. The frog opened his mouth, a gigantic affair, and the happy mosquito took off to the air. Many buzzes and squeaks and a howdy hey hoo, with a bye bye froggy thrown in as the teeny tiny mosquito. Oh, shot into the sky on his merry way, buzzing and squeaking to this very day, and ear-splitting shouts of bravissimo are heard after each song of the teeny tiny mosquito. So look at that. The teeny tiny mosquito is happily singing. And look, around the mosquito are those other animals in the story. Can you think about those animals again? Can you name the animals in the story? And can you retell the story to your family? Remember, when we retell a story, we have to start from the beginning all the way to the end, right? That's the end. And now, boys and girls, so I want you to remember the details from that story and try your best to retell the story to your family members. What happened at the beginning? What happened at the middle of the story or in the middle of the story? What happened at the end of the story? And talk about your favorite part of the story. What were the animals you saw? And who was this star? Who was the main character in this story? Who is an example of a bug? Remember, we're talking about bugs this week, right? So that ends our read aloud, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 3 of week 3 of distance learning. Bye for now.